Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, and we're going to talk about Trouble in Paradise Update. We did lose players. All right. So, I actually told you, I think the video came out, yesterday, that we did not lose any players. Update, we did lose players. All right. So, we had run a Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition Omni DM game for 28 sessions. And that thing just turned to tears and flames fast. So basically, we're doing great for about the first 26 sessions. But actually, I think at around session 22, 23, we could see that there was a tension in the game growing, right? The tension was primarily the 4-hour game. I abhor 4-hour games. I intend to never play in a 4-hour game again. And so I was switching to this 2-hour game model, right? And everybody at the table dislikes it except me, right? But it is really weird, though, because the game wouldn't exist as a 4-hour game. It's never going to exist as a 4-hour game. I'm never playing 4-hour games again. I'm not flexible on that point, right? I'm done with them. I refuse to ever be in a position where I'm an hour and 45 minutes in. The game isn't, it's not fun or boring or frustrating. And I'm like, I got 2 hours and 15 minutes of this left. I've just been there too many times. I'm never going to be there again. It's not going to happen. Okay. So basically, and me on the player side, that never happens with me as a dungeon master. So basically, we could see that this tension was building. So we brought in 2 players in the 26, 27, 28 slot, right? So we had 2 players that had been actually brought them in 27, 28. So they only been in the campaign for two sessions, right? So we had 6 players total, right? So then what we did, the whole thing was going south. So we ended the Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition game and built a new model, okay? And I told you guys that we did not lose a single player on the new model, right? And the reason why I'm giving you this update is I'm telling you there's a right way to play Dungeons & Dragons and a wrong way to play Dungeons & Dragons, right? So that means that I have to be transparent with what's happening in my actual games, right? So if I'm losing players, I need to tell you that, right? Because that's data you need to determine if you're going to follow what I say on Dungeons & Dragons or not, right? And even while I'm 100% aware that in today's world, transparency is not rewarded, it is punished, and you could see that immediately the moment I give any kind of fuel to those wishing upon my downfall. You will see them come in the comments below and just say horribly cruel things, right? And actually saying cruel things to me about me, that's fair game. I don't like ad hominem attacks. I really wish everybody would just look up the definition of ad hominem and stop making ad hominem attacks. But I have realized this is the internet, so it's unfair for me to say no, don't. My only real, I guess I've fallen all the way back of don't attack people who aren't me, right? People, that's too much, right? So anyway, so basically we did lose players. Now, why did I tell you yesterday that we didn't lose players and then today we did, right? Well, the game blew up on Sunday before, and then Monday and Tuesday there was some, there was arrangement to meet a week from then and have the big talk. One of my favorite players, one of the starter players, it was their idea, and then on Monday, Tuesday they said, hey, you go do what you want to do, make whatever decisions you want to make, and I'll abide by it, right? Then we were like, okay, here's the new model. We're blowing up the old game. Here's the new model. This is what we're on. And the moment we said that, nothing but no, I don't want this came out of his mouth. It was just it was a 180-degree flip, right? So then we thought, okay, we get it. You're not going to be in on the game, right? And we're like, hey, what we'll do is we'll run a 2-month arc, and then we'll come back, and we'll give you a chance to jump in if you want to, give you a little space. And I was shocked. Immediately he was like, no, give me the book. I'm ready. I'm making my characters for Sunday. I'm in on the new model, right? Then on Sunday, game's at 6, at literally 11 a.m., I get a text from the primary player, right? The one whose idea it was to talk on Sunday, and I'll abide by whatever you guys say on Sunday. And then it comes in, and he's like, and actually, he didn't tell me he wasn't playing. He had his Bolton tell me, all right? Now, what is a Bolton, all right? This is a new thing. I'm seeing it in multiple games. We have had a few in our games at different times. A bolt-on is a player who comes in. So you have a primary player. They come to the game every week, okay? And we have a physical game. It's at my house, right? And so people drive. Every player drives. Player DM drives to my house, except a bolt-on. A bolt-on is a player that a primary player, a starter player who does drive, brought in, and is driving the person that they identified and they attach to the game, and they're driving them in every week. The player literally can't get to the game by themselves. They're a bolt-on. They're bolted onto another player, right? So the primary player, who's one of my favorite players, right? He has the bolt-on text me and say, primary player's out, and I don't want to. And then the bolt-on says, I don't want to impose on anybody else for my ride, so I'm out. Right? And I'm like, oh wow, and this is like 4 hours before the game, right? So, and again, another 180-degree communication flip from the primary player, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh. So me and so we have, at this point, we have 3 players in the game. Me, another starter player, and then one of the people that we had just brought in, one of the new 2-week people, right? They're in. They're like, oh yeah, I'm totally down for this new model, right? So I go to the secondary primary player, and who's still in the game, and I said, we talked about this earlier in the week, and you said that you were willing to pick up Bolton yourself and make them your new Bolton, and you would get them to the game. Do you still want to do that, right? So I go back to the Bolton and say, we already saw this coming. We can get you the game if you would like to stay in. So that person says, yeah, that's great. I'd love to give it a try, right? Then an hour and a half later comes back and says, I got to go back on that. I can't really join the game. I'm like, he just says the name of the primary player and is like, I can't, right? And I'm like, I get it. I totally get it, right? And this is like, you dance with the one who brung you, so I get that, right? So I think, this is sad information. I don't want to tell it to you, right? But I'm telling it to you so that I'm not just sitting here like saying there's a best path to Dungeons. And our game, we just had our first session of Genesis Cyberpunk and Index Card Art Marvel RPG with 3 players, and it was actually a really good session with like lots of room for all the players literally around the table, right? So we could spread all our books out, and lots of room narratively to tell stories and actually have long speeches from the player characters, and it's really nice, right? I very much miss my favorite player, one of my favorite players. And I even missed the Bolton. I very much missed the Bolton, right? And I did not want to lose any of these players. And also, yeah, you caught it. We lost one of the brand new people who had just been added 2 weeks earlier because they saw the drama in the game. They're like, this is a lot, right? However, there's already talk of that person being circled back in, right? So, and the other thing is, to tell the truth, because this person, one of my favorite players, the primary player, has 180'd his communication 4 times. Honestly, he could be at the game next week. Who knows, right? Like, I get a text on Wednesday and say, I'll see you on Sunday. So, and if he says it, he's welcome back. I love him. He's like a great guy. Like, he's a really good player and a really good dungeon master. But he 180's his communication constantly, right? So that's where we're at. I wanted to give you the full update, just, and I'll take the slings and arrows. This is fuel for anybody who's like, Scott, you stink, and you don't have a good idea of how to play Dungeons and Dragons. This is fuel to them, right? The one thing I'm hoping the rest of you see is I am being transparent because I think you deserve transparency. I 100% understand that people who are transparent are punished for it, right? Not rewarded, right? But I do think there are people in this world who deserve transparency, and the viewers on this channel who come with great long-term support and wonderful comments, they deserve true transparency, and that's why I'm trying to do this. So that's the update. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Give me advice on what you think I should do next. Thank you very much. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.